everyone, Erin here, your hostess with the mostess, and welcome to a very special kind of video. More long form, but kind of spontaneous, because this past week, the weekend, has been so incredibly amazing and uplifting and spiritual and powerful, and just I don't know how to contain myself, and now it's over. It doesn't have to be over, but let me just try to explain sort of what's going on. So, a Twitch streamer who's also a YouTuber named HBomberguy, real name Harris, and I don't know his last name, started a charity stream of Donkey Kong 64, and the initial goal I think was like $500 to raise for a charity in the United Kingdom called Mermaids, which focuses on building like strong communities and support for transgender youth, while they're basically have to wait on to get approval for so many medical things from the NHS and just sort of the awful like systems they have over there. And well, I guess before I go into everything that was crazy about it, at the end of the day, this stream ran almost 60 hours, and I was there for about almost 2 whole days of it, and it raised over 330 or 40 some $1,000 for the charity, and so much positivity and other things just manifested out of this event that I don't want like my friends to think that I was ignoring them or abandoning them on like Twitter or whatever, and I have to get caught up on some videos and things like that. But wow, this was just, I couldn't pull my eyes away. And like Donkey Kong, it's kind of, you know, interesting. It's a kind of terrible but also great game, and it was a really good pick for this because it kind of worked out to be a perfect amount of time, I feel. But more so than that, what's surprising is that there were other people helping organize and find like guests to share their stories and stuff. Like, I didn't realize this, but for the first like 6 hours or something, there wasn't any trans people in the Twitch chat or watching or anything like that. And then at one point, at least when I came in, there was tons. And people kept going on their Discord, and it was blowing up, and Twitter was blowing up, and there was so many like little memes and little fun things that people were saying and doing. And even among all of that, there was so many like important messages straight from transgender and non-binary people. And it was amazing and powerful to hear like their stories specifically. And I learned a lot of things about like the parallels, or not really the parallels, but the overlaps in like certain marginalized communities. Like, I'm marginalized because I'm a transgender woman, but I'm also white. It's very, very different for like a transgender person who's a person of color or disabled or all of those things. And each of those communities have like their own sort of views on things that may be not the best, and it's awful because like certain people of color communities might like reject you or ignore you because you're transgender, and transgender people might be racist, and that does happen. It's really awful, but it does happen. Or they like don't treat you like a person because you're disabled, and then of course disabled people are really just against trans people. It's like, it's a trifecta. And I am just going to be rambling. It's long form, don't worry about it. But like, I first came in a couple hours before the whole beaver bother thing started, and that became a thing. Like, it's an inside joke that the minigame Beaver Bother on Donkey Kong 64 is a metaphor or an analogy or whatever the term is for sexual reassignment surgery or just bottom surgery for trans people, for trans men that are wanting to get rid of it, and for trans women who are seeking it. And it was kind of great. But going back into like all of the people that came on, I don't know a lot of people, and a lot of trans people. They're actually really huge in the community, and I didn't even know it. And like, it's important to support them, and I definitely want to learn more about them. Namely, the person I'm thinking of is Chelsea Manning, who I had no idea who that person is. I had to look them up on Wikipedia, and I'm gonna go through all that later. But it was just incredible to see like all these people that I see all the time on Twitter and trans Twitter, tweeting all the time, like Casey Explosion or Adequate Emily, and even my a person I really enjoy content for, Pushing Up Roses, who actually kind of helped me sort of discover that I am trans in a way, even though they are not. But like, it was crazy because like more and more people were coming in, sharing their stories, and also just like being happy and congratulating Mr. Harris on the stream. And like, it was incredible just to have like so much awareness and like positivity being raised. So many trans people were crying tears of joy this weekend, and I'm sure they could hardly contain themselves. And at first I was just like so flabbergasted by like my heroes and people on Twitter being on there. Like Ray the Doe was on there too, and they are trans. They do comics. Sorry, their name is Olive Ray Binker, I think. I might have that wrong, but there were also a couple of people that came on much earlier in the stream that I didn't know about. Namely, one of the biggest names was Grant Kirkhope, which some of my gamer friends probably will know that name, but he did a lot of the composing for pretty much all of Rare's like early 90s and 2000 games or whatever, including Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong 64. And I guess he's also the voice actor for Donkey Kong, and I did not know that. And he did in Donkey Kong voice trans rights okay, and you can look it up online, and it's crazy. Honestly, there are so many like outlets and news stories and things that were trying to cover this as it was happening, that there's plenty of articles out there that are like, oh, this person's raised $30,000 or $50,000 or $100,000 or $200,000, and it's incredible. And like I was talking about, there was bringing more people on that were sharing their stories and talking about things, and some of the stories were so specific and personable, and I really have a hard time remembering some of them, and I feel bad for that right now. One of them I remember in particular was a person that worked in a sex shop, and it was a very eye-opening experience for them to like help people find what they enjoy and be happy like with who they are sexually and their purchases and stuff like that. And I do think that like being more open to different kinds of like sexualities, and namely for me, kind of history of like pornography and stuff allows you to open your mind to all the things that people can be and enjoy. And it, I guess, is a good way to like fight against bigotry. Usually. There's quite a few people that I think are really big racists and bigots, and it's awful that do that stuff. But, yeah, and I'm hoping, because there was a spreadsheet that they tracked all the people that were guests on there and shared like their Twitter information, their YouTube, their PayPal, their Patreon, their Twitch, if they have those. And it was like over 90, probably over 100 different guests that came on at, certain points. And even amongst that, like, there were so many, like, bigger people retweeting and talking about it too, that it was incredible. Like, Cher retweeted it. Matthew Mercer retweeted it. Jack Black retweeted it. And now I'm just gonna try and name like a couple of people that I can remember from the guests that I knew about before the stream. So at one point, Adam Conover from College Humor and Adam Ruins Everything came on, and that was really cool. But also John Romero, the creator of Doom and founder of id Software, they were on there too. And like pretty much everyone that came on said, trans rights are human rights, or just trans rights. Alexandria, I think, or Orista, I don't remember her name. I just call her AOC. But she's a congresswoman in New York, and she came on, and it was so amazing. She said, trans rights are civil rights, are human rights. And she is very right about that. And it was incredible hearing that. Also, it's really funny. She was like, the N64 is the best system of the game consoles. But then another developer who worked on Fallout and a couple others I don't remember, Josh Sawyer, was on there for a bit, and that was pretty crazy too. And the one that I really enjoyed that came on several times and was always pretty funny when they came on was Jim Sterling, which he does the Jimquisition, and I kind of always loved his commentary. And it's so great to know that like all these people support trans rights and support transgender and non-binary people. And even like the top organizer, I think, of GDQ Games Done Quick, who is a trans woman, who is also multiple, which I didn't know about, and I'm sure a lot of people don't know about what that is. But they also got some representation, so that's really cool. And yeah, they used their announcer voice and things. Oh, my computer screen turned off. I gotta make sure. I don't want my computer to turn off while I'm recording. Ugh. But, like, it was such a lovely, like, stream and experience, and the host Harris, like, he really undersold himself of just being, like, a normal guy, but he said so many, like, profoundly amazing and, like, unifying things while going on, like, just a few hours of sleep and playing the same game for hours and hours on end and talking to so many people. Like, it must be so, like, emotionally empowering and at the same time draining of just all that social interaction. He really is amazing, and everyone else that donated is equally, well, maybe not equally amazing, but definitely all amazing people. Chat is amazing. There was so much positivity when all my friends in Twitch are like, having negative and transphobic things being thrown around in, like, their chats, and then this chat for this, like, major Twitch stream that I think peaked around 30,000 viewers at one time, with over 400,000 total views, which is kind of crazy, because if you think about it, oh wait, no, never mind, but that's still really cool. And they had, like, a whole slew of moderators that were keeping everything clean and removing any kind of, like, junk or bad stuff, and it never got, like, taken over or raided by horrible people. And it was constant just positivity and transgender flag emotes and things like that, and it was just incredible. Oh. Oh. I am kind of out of breath already, and I'm still planning to do my own vlog after this, which I neglected to do because reasons. And obviously I tried to participate some in the chat and donate too, and it was really great to be a part of that. And it made me realize a lot of things about myself and my expectations and just things like that in general. Like, I felt really bad because I wasn't larger. I really wanted to, like, be able to talk to these people actually. And the truth is you can. You just have to. So as soon as I can get access to that spreadsheet again, I'm gonna follow everybody and go and message them and send my encouragement. Like Harris was saying at, like, the very end of the stream, oh no, not Harris, it was somebody on his crew, said that this was an amazing, amazing high for so many people. And with it gone, there's gonna feel that, like, void, this, like, emptiness coming back. People kind of feel that sometimes when they binge their favorite show and then it's over. This is like that. So, like, the positivity honestly never has to truly end. There may not be another thing like this anytime soon, but just reach out to your trans friends and other friends, non-binary, cis, whatever, and, like, share some love, educate them on, you know, trans rights and just like keep the positivity going, because no one needs to feel like an empty void now that this stream is over. Plenty of people are gonna still be tweeting about it, making jokes, making art, making memes. They're all over the place. A couple of hashtags you should probably look out for is hashtag trans crowdfund. A lot of trans folk can't get like the medical stuff that they need to be themselves or even to survive because they're trans. Like certain things Alright, certain things like what's it called, that are other surgeries that aren't related to being trans, like nothing about sexual reassignment or facial feminization or like electrolysis or things like that, but like a spleen or like back surgery or things like that are also kind of gated because people are trans. And there's just a lot of problems with all of that, and it's really important that people out there that are trans get like the support and the funding that they need to be able to just finally be themselves, because I feel like once you're yourself, then you can start like actually being a person and really being able to give back to people. At least that's how I feel about my own transition, and how I feel like I was sort of not understanding the world around me or recognizing it. And now that I do, I'm able to support people and uplift people, and I try to do that as much as possible. Oh. And another thing that was the person that got on there that I thought was absolutely hilarious is someone named Chuck Tingle, who's an erotica writer, and they said, "Love is real," and it was so funny. I love them so much. And there was even a lot of like trans mask representation on there, which is like I'm not sure if that's female to male mainly, or also just male to female, but more masculine rather than feminine. But that's like a really underrepresented section of just transgender people in general. Like, even though there's a lot of information out there now for like transitioning and what to expect and what people might go through, and that's the same thing, I just said it twice, but like they were pointing out to me, and I'm also totally not in the loop about this except for like binders, but like for female to male transgender people, there's not a lot of information. One person described it as being like tumbleweeds, and that's very true, and it's really upsetting, but I can't stop smiling about everything that has happened. I'm on such a high, and I know that my voice is terrible right now, and it's like cracking all over the place. And I probably look like shit too, and I'm really cold, but anyway. Well, I really don't know what else to add. I wish I could remember so much, but I'm sure that a lot of like amazing clips will be shared around about it on Twitter and other outlets, and it'll be talked about at least for a while. Like, excuse me. So many people were making, like, unironically or ironically funny, like, takes about what is going on this year. That a New York congresswoman is talking about trans rights on a Donkey Kong 64 stream, and that's not even the craziest thing that happened. Or maybe it is, I don't know. But, like, so much positivity already this year, and I really feel like there's gonna be more. And once Mermaids gets this money and is able to really kind of use it to help their community grow, it's gonna make things a lot better in the UK. It's gonna raise awareness for trans youth, which is really important. Because there's so many debates, and I'll definitely have to talk about it later. A lot of it was talked about in the stream. Like I said, there probably are a lot of clips of it, but mostly probably clips of, like, Alexandria Cortez. But before I sign off, like, all of this stuff, I need to say thank you to Harris, the Skeleton Crew, everybody that was involved, everybody in the chat, everybody who donated, everybody who retweeted it, and just talking and being positive and supporting transgender people. And that isn't even just because I am trans. Like, even if I wasn't, if I was just aware of this and had, like, the capacity to support other people and love them like I do now, I would be just as amazed and elated and happy and just encouraging others and things like that. And it all kind of started, and I'm gonna end on this, to spite a rather angry old man named Gran Lineham or Linetan in the UK. Because how this all started, and I know I'm saying that at the very end, it's very weird, I don't know what I'm doing. But, so Mermaids is strictly like a charity organization that supports trans youth and, like, gives them the knowledge and the tools and, like, support to be able to, like, understand who they are and be able to, well, interact with society and cope, like I said earlier, with the extremely kind of backwards waiting lists, gatekeeping medical stuff that goes on in the UK, because everything's officially managed, like HRT and things like that, by what's called the NHS, and I'm not sure what that stands for. But so a lot of people are waiting months and years just to get on HRT, not even counting sexual reassignment surgery. And in that time, people are, not able to get blockers, and then they go through puberty, and that causes irreversible damage to your body as a transgender person, which I unfortunately had to go through. But anyway, so they do not issue out HRT. They do not do any of the medical procedures and things like that. They're just like a massive support community group in the UK. And they have been attacked time and time again. The past year, not 2019 so much. But then there was a lotto funding company that was going to give a grant to Mermaids. And this person, Graham Linehan, is like he really is a misogynistic asshole. And it's really weird because he has women that like worship him as like the beacon for modern feminism. It's very, very strange. And that's all because of their shared hatred for transgender people. And so he got a lot of those people to send a mass copy and paste email to the person who is going to be in charge of sending out the grant. And then after having that happen, they wanted to investigate Mermaids, and Mermaids might not get that grant money. So, to spite Graham Linehan, this guy, Harris HBomberguy, started a charity stream for Mermaids out of spite, playing Donkey Kong 64, 101%ing the game, and only thought like that they would get 500 or at the most a couple thousand. And well over $250,000 later, it is a life-changing, a world-changing, a game-changing event that will surely go down in history. Like, there's already, Wikipedia articles, news stories, like I said, people are tweeting about it. Like, it's incredible to have so much actual, support and positivity for such a marginalized and currently attacked group on, all kinds of platforms. And I was just so happy to be able to be alive while this was going on and be able to see it. And I just thank everyone for that. Sorry about rambling or whatever, but I guess that's the end of that. I'm gonna try and leave the link to the spreadsheet or links to people's stuff once I get access to the spreadsheet or find it again. And I encourage everyone who's watching this to go and follow all these people and subscribe to their Patreon, their YouTubes, whatever. Support them because they are supporting transgender people who really need support right now. And it's just incredible. And I found so much love in the trans community itself that I don't know what to say. I'm really at a loss for words. All the same, I'm kind of losing my voice at this point. But gonna do my vlog after this. It's gonna be great. Okay. Well, if you stayed till the end, thank you. You're a real sweetheart. And take care, everybody.